There are two Giga coasters in Ohio. Both of them are blue, and both of them are tall. Yes, tall. There is one at Cedar Point, Millennium Force, and there's one at Kings Island, Orion. And I've ridden both of them. So today I'll be reviewing the two Hyper Giga coasters in Ohio. Sorry, that was a really bad joke. Alright, so starting up, when you walk into the queue, Orion has pretty good theming there, and Millennium doesn't really have anything but the iconic Millennium sign. So Orion has a better entrance to the queue, but these are just little things that make the ride experience better. For the queue itself, I think Millennium has a better queue because you can take more videos of it, but I was also in the Fast Pass line for Orion, so I didn't really get to experience the queue all too much. I should say though, Orion probably has a better queue theming wise. There's actually quite a lot of theming, even in the fast lane line, which I thought was really cool. Alright, now Millennium Station is way cooler than Orion. For a couple reasons. For one, the iconic Millennium music. And number two, Orion, it sounds like the mics are broken. Plus, I think it's cool that when you're in Millennium Force's line, all you can see is the beginning of the lift hill, and that's it. Now, both of them have a pretty fast lift hill, but I personally like Millennium's just because it's so unbeatable. The Lake Erie is to your left, and all of Cedar Point is to your right. Millennium's anticipation is better than Orion, but at least Orion slows down at the lift hill. By anticipation, I mean how scared you are when you get to the top. Millennium is all drawn out, so it feels like the drop is way longer than Orion. It also feels like you're at the top for way longer than Orion. But like I said, Orion does slow down, which is a little scary, but I feel like it would have been better if they just kept it going the same speed. This is because in the front row, you're already starting to go down the drop when it slows down. Sure, it's cool in the back, but I personally think that Orion is a front row ride. Alright, so Millennium's first drop is so much better than Orion. Millennium has like one of the best drops like in the world. The drop feels like it's forever, and it kind of feels like you're going vertical even though you're not. Now, Orion was good. I was getting like flown from my seat the entire way down. But I don't know, I just didn't think it was that cool. Maybe because it was like a B&M. But this is like a common theme with Orion. Everything was just too graceful. Like the drop was good, but I feel like honestly, the Bats drop is better. And that's an aero suspended coaster. Now if you see my other videos, you'll know that I like airtime, but I don't like airtime based rides. So both these rides are really good, but later on in the video you'll see a couple reasons why I think Millennium is better. Anyways, when you get to the bottom of Millennium's first drop, you go into an overbank turn. When you go to the bottom of Orion's first drop, you go into a wave turn. I personally like Millennium's overbank better because it's way more forceful than Orion's wave turn. Orion's wave turn I felt like was just pointless and a filler element. I mean, it was cool, but I didn't really get any forces from it. Again, in this case, Orion is just too graceful. Orion turnaround is okay, but it gets really slow at the top, which I feel like shouldn't be a part of a Giga coaster going slow. Like, it was still pretty cool, but I don't know, it was just too slow at the top. But I would prefer this over Millennium's first tunnel, which is basically just a filler element. Next up, we have Orion Speed Hill, which gives really good flowjector. Now, I wouldn't say it's ejector. If I didn't have my seatbelt, I would definitely fly out of the train, but I wouldn't like go sending into the moon. But this also was not floater. It was way more than floater, so that's why I'm calling it flowjector. Now, Orion Speed Hill is definitely better than Millennium's first Camelback, which just gives pretty good flowjector. I mean, it's not nearly as good as Orion's Speed Hill, but it definitely is pretty good. I'd call it more of strong floater. The turns after Millennium's Camelback I feel like are just filler elements. That part of the ride was pretty forceless. I didn't really like that part of the ride. Now Millennium's second camelback is really good. I'd say it gives you flowjector. Not as much as Orion's Speed Hill, but it is still up there with one of the best airtime moments on the ride. Not that there's a ton of airtime moments. Now, Orion has a helix, but I did not get any forces from this. The only part of the helix I liked is that at the end of it, you get your picture taken, and that's about it. Next up on Millennium Force, you go into a tunnel which takes your picture. Now, the two hills after the helix on Orion are really good. They both give ejector airtime, like the turning hill and the hill into the brake run are both really good, and they give fantastic ejector airtime. But Millennium Force's Speed Hill is way better than Orion's Speed Hill. Millennium Speed Hill made me fly out of my seat and had my thighs smash into the T-bar. This is where I think Orion is almost too comfortable. The Speed Hill is just too graceful and the clamshell restraints cover too much of your body. Now, don't get me wrong, the clamshells are really good, but I personally prefer the T-bar over the clamshell. Then Millennium has straight track, which is literally filler, so that's kind of cool. You get like a sense of speed, but then you go into the turnaround, which is actually pretty forceful on Millennium. Like I said, Millennium has better restraints in my opinion. Orion's restraints are really good, but Millennium's are more open. But at the same time, Millennium's restraints can be uncomfortable, and Orion is really comfortable. Another thing to mention is that Millennium Force is about 10 seconds longer than Orion. On the ride experience itself, I felt like Orion was way shorter than Millennium, but when comparing the two, they're actually about 10 seconds apart, which doesn't seem like a big difference. When you're waiting 2 hours for a roller coaster, you want it to be as long as it can. Anyways, that will be the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.